My name is Ashley, and my group members are Michelle, Kendra, and Mabinti. For our group project, we chose the topic of substance abuse and its implications. We chose this topic because substance abuse continues to be a major health crisis today. 9 out of 10 Americans who meet the criteria for addiction began smoking, drinking, or using other drugs before the age of 18. 75% of all high school students have used an addictive substance. 1 in 5 or those students meet the criteria for addiction. 46% of all high school students currently use an addictive substance, with 33% of them meeting the criteria for addiction. 10% of all youth aged 12 to 17 are current illicit drug users. An estimated 6% of 16 and 17-year-olds and 17% of 18 to 20-year-olds reported driving under the influence of alcohol within the last year. The most severe health consequence of drug abuse is death. Deaths related to synthetic opioids and heroin have seen the sharpest rise. In the past 12 months, 212,000 people aged 12 or older have used heroin for the first time. Every day, more than 90 Americans die after overdosing on opioids. Legal and illegal drugs, excluding alcohol, are involved in about 16% of motor vehicle crashes. In the past year, almost 12 million people drove under the influence of illicit drugs, and almost 4,000 fatally injured drivers tested positive for drug involvement. Healthy People 2020's goal for this topic is to decrease substance abuse by 58.6% by the year 2020. Healthy People 2020 is an evidence-based research 10-year agenda for improving the nation's health. This program was created by the government and has measurable objectives to increase public awareness. By the end of this presentation, the audience will learn the etiology of addiction, the personal and familial impacts of addiction, prevention, treatment, and recovery options and strategies, and the ethical considerations in nursing.
There are many reasons why a person abuses a substance or becomes addicted. Genetic factors may play a role in both dependence and abuse. It is also thought that use of substances covers up another medical condition or problem such as stress, psychological issues, chronic pain, or relationship issues. According to the DSM-5 criteria, there are 2 types of substance-related disorders: substance use disorders and substance-induced disorders. Substance use disorders are patterns of symptoms resulting from the use of a substance that you continue to take despite experiencing problems as a result. Substance-induced disorders, including intoxication, withdrawal, and other substance-induced mental disorders, are detailed alongside substance use disorders. Risk factors include relationships and structure, like the lack of an emotionally rich home environment or a lack of supervision at home, copying parents or other family members. Peer influenced and individual characteristics, such as personality problems, can be risk factors, as well as the gateway effect, where it is believed that starting out on cigarettes or alcohol can lead to drugs like opium or cocaine. Community influences may be an environmental risk factor, such as poverty, lack of activity facilities, and neighborhood attitudes. We would like to share with you a comprehensive video explaining more in depth the etiology of substance abuse.
So substance abuse and addiction is a very common problem in our society. The most common risk factors and problems that lead up to it are basically threefold. We know that addictions are what we call a biological, a psychological, and a social disease. The biological factor has to deal with the fact that addictions tend to run in families, so that if your father or your grandfather or your mother or your grandmother suffer, or even an aunt suffered from an addiction, the chances of you developing an addiction issue are greatly increased. We also know that there are certain psychological conditions that people who suffer from addictions and who suffer from substance abuse have. These typically are, number one is anxiety, that people have this sense of anxiety in their life. They feel uncomfortable in their skin. There's also a huge number of people who suffer from depression, that they feel like they're walking through a fog. They don't really feel engaged in the world. They're sad, they're lethargic, they're tired. They use substances and become addicted to substances to change the way that they feel. We also know that there's a sociological aspect to addiction, and that has to do with the society and the culture that we live in. It also has to deal with the family that we grow up in, because if Dad comes home from work and pours himself a drink to deal with a stressful day, then Junior learns that alcohol is the way that I manage stress and uncomfortable feelings. So again, it's a biological, psychological, and social condition, and we need to take a look at each and every one of those in order to figure out not just where the addiction came from, but how we can find a solution to it.
Substance abuse affects the entire family. The addict can suffer in all aspects of their life. Their physical and emotional well-being can deteriorate over time as substance abuse affects every body system. Personal and professional relationships begin to suffer. Addiction fosters mistrust as addicts tend to lie and often become secretive about their behaviors. When someone is suffering with addiction, they separate themselves from their family and friends and lose interest in activities that they once found pleasure in. Financial strain is another dilemma that can arise from substance abuse. Addiction is expensive. Basic necessities may be neglected to pay for their habit. Bills may be left unpaid, leaving the addict and their family without a place to live. A job can also be lost due to poor performance, lateness, or call-offs. School performance can be strained whether you are the addict or you are living with an addict. Attendance and grades decline and behaviors change. If an addict has children, they may be who suffers the most. More than 8 million children live with at least one parent who is addicted to drugs or alcohol. Children with a parent that is an addict are more likely to be neglected or abused. There is also a link in a parent's abuse and the likelihood that the child will develop drug and alcohol dependencies later in life. Research suggests that children exposed to their parents' drug use are more likely to exhibit behavior problems and develop a mental illness such as depression and anxiety.
Although substance use is widespread, it is a disorder that can be treated through prevention, the use of pharmacology, cognitive behavioral therapy, and rehabilitation. Methods used to prevent substance abuse can range anywhere from early interventions, such as monitoring loved ones or friends that are beginning to either drink or use prescription drugs, to teaching young adults different skills that will occupy their minds from doing drugs. These are some of the medications that we use in preventing or treating substance abuse, such as opioid abuse and alcohol abuse disorders. Naloxone. It is an antidote for opioids or when somebody overdoses. It works by stopping the effects of opioids such as respiratory depression. Another medication is methadone. This medication is used for maintenance therapy or to treat severe pain in patients who are going through opioid treatments. It is used to detoxify from opiates. This medication can also cause respiratory depression, and Narcan is the antidote for it when you have respiratory depression. So if you have a prescription for this medication at home, make sure you check your pulse, you check your respiration or how much you breathe, and your blood pressure before you take methadone. Another maintenance medication is Suboxone or buprenorphine. It treats opioid dependence alongside counseling and psychosocial support. It works by suppressing the symptoms associated with withdrawal during the detoxification process. Medications used for alcohol abuse are Antabuse. It helps in managing alcoholism in patients that have alcohol use disorder. When using this drug, you must abstain from drinking or using any products that has alcohol as an ingredient.
This is because the side effects can result in severe alcohol intolerance that causes flushing, it increases your heart rate, and also your respiratory rates. If you drink alcohol or you drank alcohol within the past 12 hours, make sure you avoid taking antabuse until the alcohol is out of your system. Other medications used in alcohol abuse are carprol, lorazepam, Tegretol, and phenobarbital. Other treatment methods available for substance use disorder are psychotherapies. These include motivational interviewing, cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness meditation, and mindfulness-based relapse prevention. Motivational interviewing is the use of a client-centered communication that helps patients in making changes in their lives. This form of therapy can help in decreasing depression and the misuse of prescription drugs. Motivational interviewing helps the clients in making changes or through the steps that they need to make changes. The other one, cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is a form of therapy that can help in changing the way a person thinks, which in turn changes the way that person behaves. CBT's focus is that of a skill to help with coping, avoiding stimuli that make one fearful or behave in an inappropriate way. Which means if they're doing drugs or they have family problems, therapists can teach them how to behave in a way to have more positive outlook. So you take the negative and you change it into something positive. Other forms of therapy are mindfulness meditation and mindfulness-based relapse prevention. This form of therapy teaches you to focus on the here and now, to focus on breathing techniques and ways to calm the mind. This is good because it works in just relaxing you and just being in the moment. It's also used in programs such as the Alcohol Anonymous 12-step program. Complementary therapy that are available for a patient with substance use are yoga, communication training, animal-assisted therapy, skill building during recovery, and exercising. Prevention for substance use disorder. We've all heard the phrase, it takes a village to raise a child. The same concept applies when it comes to helping to spread awareness on substance abuse. Preventing substance use in young adults can help in deterring the adverse effects seen at a later date, such as memory problems and poor school performance. As mentioned earlier, methods used to prevent substance abuse can range anywhere from early interventions such as monitoring loved ones or friends that are beginning to either drink or use prescription drugs, to teaching young adults different skills that will occupy their minds from doing drugs. As nurses, we can use the screening, brief intervention, and referral treatments. This is basically when the patient comes to the hospital or clinic or wherever you are, you're the first one who sees them. So you're going to assess them. You're going to conduct an interview, learn more about the patient. And then the next step is you're going to apply treatments or interventions. You're going to help detoxify the patients if they have alcohol or drugs in their system. You're going to give medication for pain, such as methadone. You're going to find different resources in the communities that can help with the recovery process. You're going to provide counseling or send them to someone who can help counsel them. You can also refer them to different physicians, or the physician can refer them to someone else. So basically this, the whole health system or the physician, the team, help in screening the patients, helping to intervene by treating the patients, and then you find other resources to help the patients. A person with tight-knit family background has a lower chance of using drugs. This is so because having a moral or beliefs in a family can sometimes help in maybe helping the person think twice before they do something, such as do a drug. Having a parent that's involved in a child's life can help that person or child from not doing drugs, because these parents can act as a role model. Having academic success can also deter a person from using drugs. As nurses or people in the community, speaking with young adults on how drugs affect their lives can sometimes help also in thinking twice or making them think twice before they do drugs. Teaching your kids or friends, family members to avoid peer pressure, saying no to drugs, can help in preventing the start of doing substances. Remember, it takes a community to prevent substance abuse. As we all know, with many illnesses, the recovery process can be the hardest on us. As we previously learned about the stages of change, this can apply in substance use disorder. A person might pre-contemplate, can I do this? I don't want to do it. It doesn't do anything for me. And then they go to the next step, contemplation. Okay, I know I have a problem. Let me see how I can fix it. And then the next stage, they might take the steps, talk to people, find resources, help, so that way they can change. And then finally, the action and ways to maintain from doing those bad habits or using drugs or drinking or whatever the case may be. In the hospital, we help these patients with detoxifications to clean the system of drugs or alcohol, but this method is only momentarily. So we have to find different ways to help these patients. We can help find counseling for them, give them social support such as the family, friends, and the community. The community is very important in this case, because if we teach our community or the people in our communities about ways to prevent drug abuse, or you see something, say something, help your family members, steer them the right path, it can help in preventing drug abuse or someone from going down the rail. So family support, having friends support, and the community support behind you is very important. Other programs such as the Alcohol Anonymous, which have a 12-step recovery programs, and Narcotic Anonymous, all help in the recovery process. Also, they have many facilities that have rehabilitation. These could be halfway houses, partial houses, the hospital. There are many.
Every day as nurses, we are faced with caring for people of different social backgrounds, ethnic groups, communicable diseases, addiction, and other situations that we can become socially biased to. It is our job as nurses to care for these patients in a non-judgmental manner. These patients count on us to get them better so they can return home to their normal, everyday routine. To some patients, we are just a face, and to others, we are someone they will remember for the rest of their lives. We are there to serve the patient, and it is important to remember that our own personal beliefs, feelings, and actions have an impact on the quality of care we provide.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the Women's Clinic. Have you ever been in before? Alrighty, do you have an appointment? Alright, sign in for me. I'm gonna put you down, it's about 2:45, so our next schedule is private practitioner can see in about maybe half an hour, is that okay? Yes. Okay, pick up a form. It's got some forms in it that you're gonna have to fill out. Do you have insurance? No. Okay, so there's a questionnaire for new patients in there. When you're done, just bring me the forms, okay? Great. Have a seat. Women's Clinic, can you please hold? Thank you. appointment. So our next available appointment where the practitioner can see you will be probably close to about 3:45. Is that okay?
Yeah, I can wait.
Okay, sign in. Alright, so you're gonna grab a packet of forms. There's some new patient information that I need you to fill out. So have a seat. Whenever you're done, just bring it on back up.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Good afternoon, Women's Clinic. This is Ashley. Can I help you? Okay. We do have some availability today around 5, 5:30, and 6 o'clock. Can you come in around that time?
So far, the girls, okay?
Okay. Alrighty. So I'm gonna put you down. Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm just making a couple appointments real quick. I do have to run to the bathroom real quick. Can you watch the front desk?
Sure.
Alright, there's a couple forms. They're a new patient, so you can take care of that for me if you don't mind.
Okay.
Be right back. Thank you. What's going on?
Did you see?
What, these strips say? No. I didn't get a chance. I was busy. I had to make a couple payments for it. So
Who's who?
I have no idea. I thought I gave the girl with the tattoos. I thought I gave her like the red one.
Oh,
Or
well, this one. She's got a history of drug use. She had a baby that was born with MAS,
okay.
and she's probably losing right now. And she's pregnant again.
I bet you $100 against the girl with the tattoos. She looks
I wouldn't be
nasty.
surprised.
And I have no idea where the dad is involved. I have no idea. She just looks like one of those people that just come in for whatever kind of and just I don't know.
I
But the other
agree.
girl, she's in nursing school. So don't they try to?
I'm sure.
I don't know.
I wouldn't think it would be her. Does the girl with tattoos even have insurance?
She mumbled something to me. That was it. So all right.
Let me go call them back.
All right. I'm gonna make mine.
Okay.
See you later.
Mabinti?
Hi, I'm Binky.
Oh. Okay. Come with me, please.
Thank you.
How are you today?
Substance abuse doesn't discriminate, and neither should you.
Based on the research that we have conducted for this presentation, we have found that our objectives are not being met. We hope to reduce substance abuse by 58.6% by the year 2020 by applying our objectives of awareness and the applications of health promotions through primary, secondary, and tertiary preventions. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our presentation. We hope that you found it enjoyable and informative.